Let's bring in our panel from London. Mustafa Ragab is the director and founder of Egyptian Affairs UK, and Ali Al-Kabani is the former general manager of the Islamic Press Agency. Thank you very much indeed for joining us on the Newsmakers, gentlemen. Ali, let's start with you. Former Nobel Prize winner, once considered a man who could have been president of Egypt, Mohammed al-Baradei, has said that this is the Arab Spring in reverse. What do you think?
One of the main goals of the Blessed Revolution of January was to limit the terms of the president so we don't have in the future another Mubarak or another military dictator who stay forever or until he dies in office. So the Constitution of 2012 and that of 2014 insisted in clause 140 of 2 terms for the president and 4 years for each term. And then clause 226 came and prevented anybody from changing or extending the period where the president could serve. So it's only 2 terms. So now we are hearing about changes in the Constitution to allow Sisi to stay for another 12 years until 2034. So we are back to square one, and this clause, if approved, then it will end the last goal and target of the Blessed Revolution of January. So in short, the military rulers never respected a constitution. This constitution was drafted by Sisi's men, but they couldn't actually extend the period of the presidency because the revolution was still alive in the thoughts of the people, but they tried to do it now. The other thing is, even if there is changes, and even if it's legal and constitutional, how it could be applied backdated to Abdel Fattah al-sisi, while the constitution he was elected at dictate that he can only have 2 terms, 4 years each.
Okay.
Another point, why now we do...
Okay, Mustafa, pick up on some of that points. Don't worry, Ali, we've got plenty of time. We've got plenty of time, Ali. Mustafa, pick up on some of those points.
Yes, I'll have the answer for some of his questions. But let us first say, let's not make a big meal out of it, because it's only a proposal from some member of parliament, and it's not for definite. It's not over. It's not
yes, but the next step. Come on, Mustafa. We know the next step is almost the next step is almost a formality. Those who have to approve this are mostly supporters of Sisi, and it looks as if it's going to happen.
Well, everything has to go according to the will of the people.
And it should be discussed for 60 days. It didn't take 3 days.
But let me tell you something to start with. It is only an attack on President Sisi. President Sisi has got nothing to do with this. It's member of parliament proposing this thing. And what I look at now, an answer to the questions that my friend have put there, the present time now that Egypt lives in a very dangerous time. And the projects that started, the government started in Egypt now, and the fight against terrorism, when you look around, who's going to carry out this project and who's going to carry out these fights? It's very, very important that we look at these things before we look at someone staying for another term or another 2 terms. What we should put in mind is the safety of Egypt, is the future of Egypt, not the names who are ruling Egypt. We're not looking for a dictator, definitely. We're not going to look for someone who stay there forever, definitely. But we have to look at the situation that Egypt living in now, the projects that is going in Egypt, the fight against terrorism. We don't want another Libya or another Syria or another Iraq. We want Egypt to remain the same as it is now, safe for the people to live in and prosperous with the economy. Like we're seeing now, everything is coming up in Egypt. That is an answer to the question that you put forward.
Okay, Mustafa, I think there are 2 very important points there that Mustafa makes, Ali. So let's address these. There are 2 great challenges for Abdel Fattah al-Sisi: terrorism and the economy. Okay, terrorism is something that he can deal with, and he does seem to have dealt with it fairly successfully. Of course, you can argue with the methods. The economy is something that possibly might also depend on the outside world. But let's take terrorism. He's been successful at that. Mustafa seems to be suggesting that the only person who can continue to fight terrorism in Egypt is Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. Is that correct, Ali? Would you agree?
This is absolutely wrong, because the challenge of the terrorism is for the country of Egypt, not a single individual. The other thing is why the American Congress did not change the American Constitution to allow George W. Bush to stay until he finished the war against Al-Qaeda. Life goes on. President comes and goes. But it is the country's duty.
Why did the British people allow Margaret Thatcher to stay for 16 years?
Okay.
Can you answer this question?
Because she won. She
legitimately
won elections. Hold on. Okay, hold on 1 second, both of you. Okay, you'll both get a chance, but if you talk over each other, then I'm going to talk over the both of you. Okay, so Margaret Thatcher was elected properly, free and fair elections, and we'll come on to Abdel Fattah al-Sisi's 2 election victories in a moment. Ali, just finish that train of thought about who's the best person to fight terrorism.
I also don't think that your other guests understand the difference between presidential system and parliamentary system. Parliamentary system is the party rules when the party get a majority in parliament, and the leader of that party stays as prime minister. But even Margaret Thatcher, her own party got rid of her because they don't want. You have a presidential system, so it's only 2 terms and he can go. It's not a parliamentary system when a prime minister can stay.
Okay.
So you have to know the difference. And Egypt chose.
Can you take his place?
I mean.
Can you take his place?
Egypt has got 100 million people.
Oh, you can only talk.
Of course, any idiot can take his place.
Okay, listen, that's not a fair question. Ali's not putting himself up. Ali's not putting himself up for president. Ali, look, let me just take this over for a moment. Okay, because Mustafa, you say that, you know, why did Maggie Thatcher stay in power for all those years? She won her elections free and fair. Many people have wondered whether 2014 and 2018 were completely free and fair. Okay, first of all, turnout in both those elections was below 50%. That says something possibly about the popularity of Sisi. He won by 96.1% in 2014 and 97% in 2018.
What was the turnover in the UK? What was the turnover in the UK?
No, sorry, I don't understand.
That's about the turnover in every election.
Yeah, okay, that's absolutely fine. But it's quite rare for anybody to win an election with more than 90% of the vote. And then there are all of the political parties, it's such a long list, and all of the potential candidates who all pulled out of the running. He was hardly facing any sort of competition. Okay, so now the suggestion being, out of those results and the way he won the elections and the people he was not standing against, suggests that possibly he's not as popular as he himself portrays his presidency. So this makes these extensions of terms even more contentious.
Well, let the people of Egypt say that.
That's why actually
let the people of Egypt go out to the election boxes and say that.
They will say that, but
if
they have no point, Mustafa, if they have no option, who are they going to choose? Okay, so I'll give you the list. Okay, 2014, the New Wafd Party, the Free Egyptians Party. They said that they wouldn't put up a candidate. The Noor Party did exactly the same. Then individuals, Adli Mansour, Abdul Manem Abul Futu, Ahmed Shafiq, General Sami Anan, Amir Musa, all of them, they refused to stand. He was hardly facing any sort of competition. If there's competition, he may not have got the results that he officially got. Mustafa.
The only one,
out
of those names that you said that can be fit for the job is Amr Musa. But Amr Musa has given up since he lost the first election. I'm saying to you, the only name from all the names that you mentioned who can stand up for this position is Amr Musa. But he gave up after losing the first election. But the other names, I'm sorry, no one of them can fit for this position. When someone forged his ID card...
But why didn't you let the people decide?
Absolutely.
Why do you want to put Sami Anan in jail and deny him the right to put his name as a candidate? Or Konsoa?
Because he forged his ID card.
Genuine contender to Sisi.
His ID card. Because he forged his ID card.
I mean, really,
do you understand what's
in short, we can't discuss this nonsense. Since the coup d'etat of 1952,
do you want a crook to be the president of Egypt?
Listen to me.
I know you don't mind because
listen, you may learn something.
You yourself said any idiot can be the president. If you want an idiot to be the president, I'm sorry. Your conversation
We have got a real idiot now who is a president for 8 years and he wants to be another 12 years. Listen, all the elections, according to Jihan Sadat in Egypt,
really
were fiddled.
Okay.
I think you're very nervous. You're very nervous. You're very agitated.
Okay, hold on, Mustafa. Hold on, please. Okay, Ali, go ahead.
Yeah, all those people supporting a military regime, I am fed up from their stupid
What's wrong with the military regime? We do need a military regime. What have you got against the military regime that defending your country and defending your home and defending you? Where do you come about military regime?
Mustafa, you posed the question.
The military.
Let Ali at least respond to your question.
Military regimes are military
That's what he is.
Only in retarded country, in respected countries, military should not interfere in politics at all. Even retired general, there is a gap between leaving the service in the military army and being involved in political activities and being members of political parties. In Egypt, we are living under military dictatorship.
That does not apply for everybody. There's some countries that can only rule by the military.
Like that when only retarded countries.
You want to apply your system.
That Egypt
you want to apply a system to all the countries of the world. That does not apply to everybody.
Listen, honestly, this is the third or fourth time. It's no discussion if you both talk at the same time. Mustafa, please, I'll come back to you in just a second. Ali, just take it for the next 30 or 40 seconds.
He wants to apply the system
Mustafa,
for every country in the world.
Please.
Every country of the world is different.
Okay. Let Ali respond to that, and then I'll come back to you. Ali.
Countries of the world are different, but the principle of democracy and the sovereignty of people is the same. And no respected, civilized, free, democratic country would allow a president to stay more than 8 years or 2 terms. Tell me, in one single country in the whole world, a president stayed above his terms or the parliament changed the constitution to allow him to extend his period as president? None. Only in retarded military countries in South America or Egypt or some retarded African countries, this takes place, but never in respected countries.
Okay.
Also, why the timing now? Sisi could have waited for 1 year before his second term end and do these changes. But he knows that the economy is going from bad to worse, and people will never vote for him and will never believe the fiddled result of his election that he won was 90%, while the majority of the Egyptian people refuse him and refuse his control. The other thing, actually, the changes proposed are going to put all the powers in the hand of Sisi. The judicial power, the judiciary power, so he can control the whole country. He will be a dictator above all dictators which we experience in the history of human being.
Okay.
And that is why I am against these changes, and Egyptian people, the majority of them, are against that change.
Okay, Ali, Mustafa, give me an opportunity to present a clip from 2017 of the president talking to the American CNBC network, where he was asked about presidential terms, and this is what he had to say.
It doesn't suit me as a president to stay one more day against the will of the Egyptians. This is not talk for TV. These are principles I embrace and I am keen on. I am with preserving 2 4-year terms and not to change it.
He said, I embrace these ideas. He's changed his mind.
Right.
Why has he changed his mind?
Right. There is two things I would say to you there. Number one, I just hope that President Sisi will come out and reject this proposal and shut everybody up. That's number one. Number two, yes, we are with the Constitution.
I challenge you.
Ali, please.
We have to look at the sensitive situation that our country is going through. I mean, he's saying, tell me who stayed in power. Turkey, look who's staying in power for so long. Everyone else is staying in power for so long. Why don't you object to this? But what we're looking at, you having a personal attack on President Sisi, that's all. Because he really hurt you all. All you kind of people hurt by President Sisi. That is why you hate him. But we love him. The Egyptian people love him for what he did to the country. Look at terrorism. Look at China. Look at the border with Libya. Look at all this. Do you understand what's going on there? Do you understand the lives that the Egyptian people lose every day to protect you and make you people in Egypt live safe? Do you understand what is happening with the economy in Egypt? All the buildings that is going up in Egypt? Do you understand the projects that is being going on there? If you do, then you would change your mind. But because you hate the person that called President Sisi, you would say anything right is wrong. That is what you do, you people. You don't look deeply to what is happening in Egypt. I do agree that the constitution should remain as it is. But if the people in Egypt, not me or you, Mr. Ali Kabani, living somewhere and attacking the president in Egypt, the people in Egypt should have the final say, not me or you.
Okay, now let's just address the economic issue here. Okay, youth unemployment from 2007 to 2017 has gone from 25% to 34%. The poverty rate has been increasing over the past decade, but the growth rate of GDP is not so discouraging, actually. From 2012 to 2022, it's expected to go from between 2.23 to 6%. Most countries at the moment with the global economic climate might be quite happy with that. And yet, Mustafa, you say you're happy with Egypt. Let me just read you a short little excerpt.
I am very happy, and I'll tell you why.
Are you happy with this?
Rate of unemployment.
Okay, are you happy with this?
You mentioned the rate of unemployment.
Okay,
I'm gonna address this point.
Yes, unemployment, yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. I should have mentioned that. About 11%. Okay, about 11% is not too bad. Okay,
yes,
I totally agree.
I'm gonna address this point for you, because young people in Egypt now became very choosy. And my proof for that, look at all the people that came over from Syria. They're working. Look at the people who came over from Sudan. They are working. But the young people in Egypt now choose to be very choosy, and they prefer to sit in cafeterias at night saying, I don't have a job.
Okay.
But people can work if they get up and work.
We're running out of time. We're running out of time.
The people who came to Egypt and finding work.
Okay, I was going to give you a short excerpt. Because we're running out of time, I'll summarize it into 2 words. Police state. Okay, there are a lot of analysts around the world who believe that Egypt is almost a police state. Okay, 30 seconds each. Ali?
Of course, it's a police state controlled by the army, and no opposition can dare to open their mouths, even from inside the military establishment themselves. You know, there was always an aura about the military officers that they are khayr agnadil, are the best of officers in the whole world. But then we saw what happened to Konsoa. He was humiliated. What happened to Sami Anan, the chief of staff, who said that he was corrupt.
You say to him 2 words, he goes for 100 words.
It is a police state. Listen to me, listen, and you will have time to talk.
Okay.
So Egypt have no future under the military regime, and the blessed revolution of January was to get rid of them once and for all.
Okay, thank you. 30 seconds, please, Mustafa.
Mr. Ali multiply his 2 words by 200 again to attack President Sisi.
Answer the question and leave Ali alone.
We need a police state to control people like Mr. Ali. We do need them desperately now.
That is a retarded thinking.
We need people to control Mr. Ali.
Okay.
Who goes out, really demolish Egypt and turn Egypt into what he wants to turn it. But Egypt will remain a great country, will remain as it is. You will never,
of course, Egypt will remain, and the military regime will go to hell.
In Egypt.
Gentlemen, thank you very much indeed for joining us on the Newsmakers. Appreciate your time.